Sketch below is the graph of h of x is equal to a to the power of x, and a is greater than 0. So a is positive, and r is the y-intercept of h. So r is acting as the y-intercept of our h graph. The points, P having coordinates 2 and 9, so there it is, and Q having x is equal to b and y is equal to 1 over 81, they lie on h. They lie there. They're not telling the truth. Okay, sorry, bad joke. 4.1, let's get into the questions. Write down the equation of the asymptote of h. The equation of the asymptote of h, well, that is pretty easy. This is the origin, right? And as you can see, our graph, our exponential graph, how do we know it's an exponential graph? Well, x here is an exponential form. It is going to get as close as possible to to y is equal to 0, but it's never going to touch it. So that would be an imaginary dotted line that does not exist. It just shows that the graph cannot touch it. It's like a tragic love story between the graph and this line. So that's the asymptote. And the asymptote is here. Let me just sketch it in for you guys if you're still battling to understand it. So look, I know this is the x-axis, but it's not x is equal to 0, okay? It's y is equal to 0, because do you see it is on the y-axis? Look, this is the x-axis. All of this here, that is the x-axis. But all of this here, that's the y-axis. So therefore, this line relates to y. Sorry, that's just me venting my anger and frustration, because a lot of kids are going to mess this question up. But they shouldn't, because it's actually quite easy. It's some basic theory. So I'm just going to clear that. Y is equal to 0. That's the answer, because the graph is never going to touch this line over here. I know it's on the x-axis, but it relates to y. Verstaan. 4.2, determine the coordinates of r. So the coordinates of r, that is going to be a y-intercept. In order to calculate a y-intercept, we should let x equal 0. So that's just going to be h of x is equal to a to the power of 0. Anything to the power of 0 is just, well, 1. So therefore, r has the coordinates of 0 and 1. Finished. 4.3, calculate the value of a. So how are we going to do that? What are we going to do? Well, we're going to sub in a random point. So that is question 4.2. This is question 4.3. Okay, kom ons 'n bietjie Afrikaans praat. Wiskunde, Buddha. Okay. Let's be serious. Also, I make a bunch of Afrikaans videos. Like if you're doing lin or fila or any of those things, have a look on the channel. Just literally type in lin or fila and you'll find it. There's a bunch of playlists that I've organized too. So let's get back into the work. 4.3. It looks like this. Y is equal to the a. Y is equal to a to the x. Okay, it's coming straight from the formula. And we need to use a random point. Now, we cannot use Q. We can only use P. Q's coordinates are unknown, so we would just sub in x is equal to b, and that would leave us nowhere. We would have two unknown variables, and yeah, it would just get ugly. So let's use P. So x is equal to 2, y is equal to 9. Let's make those substitutions. Therefore, a is equal to plus minus root 9. Don't forget your plus and minus when you square root both sides, because both answers are applicable. Minus 3 or positive 3. But now we need to look at restrictions. Do you see a can only be greater than 0? So yes, we cannot use a is equal to minus 3. It's a is equal to 3 only. And that's it. That's the question.